If you have never met me before, I'll introduce myself. There are a few of you that do know me. My name is Angela Lealaogata. You don't have to remember that last part, but you can just call me Angela. I am a sales director. I'm also a professional makeup artist on the side, so I love to do brides and events. And don't worry about asking questions. I'm really down to earth. I'm nice. These, Jen, Kelsey, and Michelle, Colleen, they will all vouch for me, right? So anyway, so
actually watched you on Facebook Live.
Facebook Live, yes, I do Facebook Live. I have a YouTube channel that I do, and anyway, so I love playing with makeup. I love trying new things, but I think the best thing to learn is to accentuate the assets that you have, and it's not just about wearing tons and tons of makeup. Sometimes wearing a bunch of colors and whatnot is fun, and I do like to do that, but for the everyday, for most people, they want to know what is going to look best for them every single day, day in and day out, and so that's really what I'm going to be focusing on today, how to apply, how to pop colors, how to choose colors, those types of things. Like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Don't worry about that. So, have all of you washed your face, prepped it with moisturizer? No? Okay. So if you haven't, or if you don't have that, you can skip that. But just know in general, most of the time you want to. That is why skincare is so, so important. So anytime I do parties, I usually try to get the skincare parties first so they get the value of skincare. And then the makeup is the fun part, right? So you always want to wash your skin. You always want to moisturize it. You need to prep the skin because all the makeup in all the world is just going to be all the makeup in all the world if you don't take care of your skin. And so skincare is really the base of it all. It's going to be your canvas, right? For if any of you guys are artists. How many of you are artists? Okay, so a canvas can make or break a painting, right? And so you really want to prep it well. So cleanse, moisturize, and if you guys have already done that, then start with foundation primer and go ahead and do that. Now with foundation primer, you're going to get a little bit on your fingertips. You're going to warm it, kind of rub it into your fingertips like this. And then you're going to start in your T-zone first, and then you blend out. A little bit goes a really long way, and it's kind of like spackle for your face. It fills in any bumps and valleys and all that sort, and it really makes your foundation last longer throughout the day, and it will make you look more flawless. So rub it into your fingertips. I tend to over squeeze, but you really. A pea size to maybe, If you feel like when you're rubbing it in, you usually can feel it go everywhere because it becomes more silky. It's not like it's supposed to feel heavy. Does that make sense? But if you don't feel like it's on, then you can do a little bit more, for sure. Yeah. You kind of do it based off of feel, and so I can only... If you feel like it's not over everywhere, then add a little bit more. Yeah. If you have too much of the foundation primer, it can ball up a little bit. But you usually have to have a lot for it to do that. So I haven't had many people have issues with that. So
have you found though if you go from like your moisturizer stage to the foundation primer right away that all of a sudden it's just too much? Like you gotta let it air dry for a second?
Yes. So one of the things that I do when you're prepping your skin, cleanse, moisturize, and then I usually will like blow dry my hair.
Okay.
And then I will do the rest of my stuff. Okay. Because sometimes, whether you're oily or whether you're dry, you need that moisturizer to set in to know how much moisture your skin needs. Now for you oily girls, even though we have fabulous products that help control oil, one of the best tips I learned was after you cleanse and moisturize, let it sit so it hydrates enough. But then if you have excess, you either get your beauty blotters or you're gonna get a washcloth or a towel or whatever, and you just press it into your skin. So it will get the excess moisture off without taking any that you actually need. So you don't want to do it right after you put on the moisturizer. You need to let it sit in, and then you press your skin. And I promise, especially come July when we're at seminar and it's humid and all that, you will be way less oily, way longer when you do it that way if you're oily. The wrinkle filler, I usually would do that before foundation primer. But yes, you can do that.
Just saying.
Yes.
I got a couple of
Yes, wrinkle filler.
So what is the benefits of foundation primer?
Oh, it is like spackle for your face. It's like primer before you paint a wall. So it's going to even everything out. It's going to give you a smooth surface to start with. If you've ever tried to put on foundation and it looks like it slides off one area, but it's like looks dry or flaky in one area, if you have combination of skin or dry skin or whatever, you won't have that when you use the foundation primer. It also makes your makeup last longer throughout the day. So you usually, I did my makeup this morning and I didn't touch up. So if you use the right stuff, you won't need to. I used to have to with our old foundations, like maybe 2 foundations ago, or now 3 maybe. But I don't need to do that now. Now that we have the primers, now that we have even better foundations, you really usually don't need to touch up. Unless I'm like, have a cold and I'm blowing my nose. So anyway, foundation primer is awesome. And it also has active oil absorbers in there. So some people that are normal to dry are worried that it's going to make them dry out more. That is not the case. It just evens it out for you. But if you have oil, then it will help absorb oil throughout the day. So it's great for both sets of skin. Okay. So foundation primer. Now foundation primer does not go on your eyes. Do you guys know that?
Yes.
Okay. So if you're going to do eye primer, then you can go ahead and put a little bit of eye primer. A little bit of eye primer goes a really long way.
I said we're not on foundation yet.
You go ahead. You can don't you don't have to take it off. I promise.
She's all
yeah, I saw. I was like, go for it. You don't have to like. I'm not gonna slap your hand for rushing through. It's all good.
just telling me
Did she
like
say
I'm
eye
not
primer?
listening?
My hand's right
You're okay. So foundation primer, if you're gonna do eye primer, go ahead and do that. A little dollop right on your eyelid and rub it in, okay? A little bit of dollop. It is a different formula. Foundation primer is made with silicone. The eye primer is not because it would make your eyeshadow crease. So different areas of the skin need different things. So it helps your eye makeup like waterproof. It is the bomb. If you really want to know how well it makes your eyeshadow last, wash your whole face. And I actually went to Moab. We earned a trip with Mary Kay, and we decided to wake up and hike to the Delicate Arch in the middle of the night. In the morning, but it was like really, really early. It was like before 5 in the morning, like it was like 4:30 in the morning or something like that. And we all were like, because it was all Mary Kay people, right? So we were like, okay, are we gonna make a pact that we're not gonna wear any makeup because everyone was gonna be in the pictures, right?
Yeah.
But I am who I am, and that was really hard for me. So what I did was I promised, and I didn't apply any new makeup.
Slept in what you have.
So, but I am one where I will break out if I am sleeping in makeup. So I washed my whole face, and I just didn't wash this part. And they got really mad because they thought I had applied it in the morning. I said, I promise I didn't! Ask my roommates!
Look, I don't even have makeup with it.
I know. But it just goes to show you how well it can last, because it really did look like I had just done it. So anyway.
And then you probably slept like this. Huh?
I did. I was like, I can't sleep on my side or my face because then it will make it. Have any of you ever, like, one of the best secrets or tips that I could tell you, if you have dark circles, or for your customers, if they are buying concealer or under eye corrector or anything like that, the first thing they need to do, and the first thing you need to tell them to do, is wear eye cream. If you do not wear eye cream, it will just look like you're covering up dark circles, okay? I mean, our new concealer is more moisturizing, so you can get a little bit more away with it than with our old formula. but it will make a world of difference, and it will actually look natural, not like, oh, she just covered up her dark circles. It will disappear and you won't realize it. Before you do concealer, eye primer, but you will want to put concealer on. So you're going to want to put concealer on your eyelid over your eye primer, okay? You don't go directly to eyeshadow. It will blend well and you won't have an even lid to work with, okay? So you always do concealer.
So we're using our concealer on our eyes.
Yes, so you do underneath your eye. Now here's another tip for under eye circles. If you are going to cover up dark circles, do not, it's kind of like when you tell your kids don't color outside the lines when you're teaching them with crayons. It's the same thing with concealer. Do not go outside the line of demarcation because then you've created two different colors of skin. If you're wanting to hide dark circles, you only want to go in where the dark circle is, which is why the brush is so important, okay? So if you only have dark circles on that just one line, you only do that one line and then you blend. Don't go all crazy and go all sorts of highlighting it. You're just gonna look like two colors of skin. Yes?
So would you do like a lighter, darker?
So you can do the same or lighter. You could do deep ivory. Yeah, that's okay. Under eye corrector. If you're covering dark circles, you would do under eye corrector and then you would do a concealer if you're covering anything else up. It's not meant to be a concealer, although it is very similar to our concealer. The formula is anyway.
And you put that on over your
Eye primer?
Your primer and your foundation. You put it on before I put on my foundation.
Okay, so you can do concealer before or after foundation as long as it's matching, as long as it's closely matching your foundation. But I usually do dark circles before I do foundation at all because then you're covering it up and then you're blending and making your skin all the same color. And then if you want to highlight, then you would use a highlighter, concealer, or whatever you're doing to highlight over your foundation. Does that make sense? But if they're not dark purple, you don't necessarily, you can get more bang for your buck if you do like light ivory, one that would be where you can cover your other blemishes with, than if you're just trying to do dark circles. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like describe the difference between dark circles and just you have just a little bit of
discoloration. Yeah, I mean dark circles is purples and blues. If you don't have like deep purples and blues underneath your eyes, you really don't necessarily need an under eye corrector. You could get away with just using the concealer, and then with the concealer you can use it on your other blemishes as well. Does that make sense? So concealer usually is higher pigment. There's less colors to match, so they're not meant to match your skin perfectly. Okay. So you wouldn't want to use concealer all over your face. Also, it is more opaque of a coverage, which basically means you're not going to see your skin through it. So if you tried to do your whole face with concealer all over your face, you would look like a hot mess. Like, it's not good. So even with our Perfecting Concealer, which is more moisturizing, you still don't want to go there. So it is higher pigmentation, less colors, so it's not going to blend into your skin the way a foundation will. And
it's for more like
it's made to hide.
It's made to cover and hide, whereas foundation, even if it's full coverage, you usually still see your skin tone underneath, for the most part, unless you're wearing like concrete foundation, which there are those. But
concealer is more of like a spot coverage. Foundation is like full coverage.
But it really is the fact that it's the consistency of the product is different, and so it's usually drier, thicker, and so it's not meant for all combination oily, normal, dry types of skin. Does that make sense?
Try it out.
Makes sense. Thank you.
It depends on how red is. It's pinky red, but I don't think you necessarily need concealer over that. I think you would be just fine with foundation. Now, there are some people that have very, very bad rosacea and they are super self-conscious about it. For those people, you would recommend just apply it just barely where you get rosacea, not all over, because you want to conceal it. You're doing just on the flush of your cheek, and then maybe some people have either on the tips of their nose or on their forehead, but really only where they need it, and don't go crazy all over. Yeah. Because really, the moment you go outside the lines of whatever you're trying to hide, you've created 2 colors of skin again. So if you're trying to cover a blemish and you dot too much foundation and then there's a ring of lightness, you still have 2 colors of skin now, okay? So you really are only wanting to cover what you're trying to hide. Does that make sense? If you are worried about it covering, I will stipple, which means lightly tapping with a sponge or a brush. You won't wipe it away if you're doing that. And with our concealer, once it's like set and dry, it usually still will stay put for the most part, even if you were to use the brush and you're like blending and like moving it around. But if you want to cover up the biggest areas that you need to cover up, I do it underneath first. And then if you still have where you wiped over, maybe it's like, if it's a higher blemish that you're trying to cover, most likely you will wipe over it, right? So then at the end, you can also conceal over your foundation. So I usually will conceal the biggest areas like dark circles, things like that first. And then if you're gonna cover up a blemish, basically if you're using foundation, you're gonna do everything and then you see what's left that you still need to cover, and then you would barely spot treat your problem areas. Make sense?
Does it make a difference if you're using a liquid versus a powder foundation?
For concealer before or after? Not really.
Okay.
You could still do for powder, because you are like ice. That's why I usually still always do the base of concealing before. Then when you're putting on foundation, you know what you still need to cover.
Yeah.
And you can conceal with mineral powder foundation. Do you know that? That you don't have to use the concealer. You dip your finger in the mineral powder,
Yeah, just a touch.
tap a little bit extra off, and then you just barely tap where you're trying to conceal. And you can use it as a concealer. So now use your foundation. Some people feel like one tool is better than the other. I am not preferential that I'm gonna say that this one tool is better than anything else. But most people prefer one way or the other. I usually have switched and I'll try everything, and I tend to always go back to the sponge because that's what I prefer. I love the new blending brush, and I use that probably now half and half, but I still always tend to go to the sponge. If you have imperfections, if you have blemishes, the reason why I started Mary Kay was I had acne all through high school into college, tried everything under the sun to get rid of it, nothing really worked. Mary Kay actually cleared up my skin. So I'm used to having textural flaws on my skin. If you have textural flaws, I like using the sponge because when you get it wet, you guys know that you're supposed to get it wet before you use foundation on it, right? So you squeeze like 10 times underneath the water. You don't know that?
I don't ever remember foundation.
Okay, well, use the sponge, get it wet 10 times, and then get your towel and just squeeze it into the towel to like dry it off so it's not like dripping wet. It's not supposed to be dripping wet, right? But it also will make you not use as much foundation because it's not going to be dry and soaking everything up into the sponge. But it will also apply so much better, and it will look more flawless as you do it. So if you have textural problems, this sponge I like because of the way that it applies. It when you're tapping on your face, you're not swiping and moving it, so then it doesn't wipe off those problem areas that you've covered up. Does that make sense? So that's why I love the foundation, the blending sponge. I used to use a beauty blender before that. I still use the beauty blender a lot, but I do use our Mary Kay blending sponge.
Any
Yes.
recommendations for try that with like concealer?
Exfoliate, exfoliate, exfoliate. Stuff like that is going to continue to keep happening until you're done with those treatments usually. But if you still have really dry skin, you just need to hydrate more.
That's what I've been doing.
You need to hydrate more. If you're still dry and flaky and you're exfoliating, you need to use more moisture than you think. And the best way to do that, so sometimes we wipe even our moisturizer off. So when we're blending and rubbing it into our face, we're wiping it into our hands too. So sometimes you feel like I used a ton. Well, your hands are absorbing some of it, right? So if you have problems with that, the best way to do it is to press it into your skin. So you use your tips, go like this, don't rub, and then pat it in. Let it absorb, and then see how.
Just because whenever I put foundation, it doesn't matter what kind of foundation, it just, that's when it shows up even more. Because it
You see the dry patches from there. Yeah, you need more moisture.
She needs
you need
moisture, the intense.
Oh, I was just gonna say that.
I'm using
The intense
that.
moisturizing cream.
Use it every night. And just put it
Yeah.
on.
So the repair. But if you have really dry patches, use the extra emollient eye cream.
Oh,
And
yes.
just do light areas in those. Like that's not one that I would regularly use for most people. But if you're still dry flaky, if you have certain areas that are like that, use that in just the small areas. And maybe if you use it at night, then in the morning you won't have those patches and you won't need to use it underneath makeup.
It's a process.
Yeah, you can use the moisture gel mask as well. But if she's still really, really dry, the extra emollient night cream is going to be like the next step up. So, yeah. Okay, yes. That's why I love the sponge.
Yeah.
So if it's wet and you're stippling, you go over it like this. If you need to go back over it, you can usually powder. You can go over that area and then it will kind of blend it all together. But you can use, like I said, your finger if you're missing any areas. You can use your finger, but lightly tap either the liquid foundation or the powder over those areas. You guys know that foundation you're supposed to match here, your jawline, right? You're not supposed to have orange pumpkin face. Okay, sponge, the blending brush, seriously, if you have not tried it, you need to. Can I just hold it up?
Wonderful.
If you haven't seen it, this, the liquid foundation brush, I really wanted to love. I like more full coverage. So the liquid foundation brush, what I wanted it to do, it just didn't blend as well as I would like. And I think it's for people that want the old one that's angled. I think it's more, if you want a little bit less coverage, it would work really well for it. But I kept trying to do more coverage with it and I felt like it was streaky, and it's because I was trying to put too much on or whatever.
My CC cream, it works.
People love it with CC cream. People love it with CC cream.
The foundation, I tried it with the foundation, I didn't like it because it clumped up. It's not the same. This is
Yeah. It is a lighter coverage foundation. So if you use your tools for the coverage you want, liquid foundation I would use if you want lighter, more sheer coverage. Okay? This blending brush is made with like so many little hairs. That's why it feels so dang soft, and it's angled in a way for you to get a beautiful blend of your makeup. So as you're applying it, it's naturally blending into your skin, whereas the other one, I had to work it. Okay, so washing your brushes, if you guys don't know, antibacterial soap, or because you can use shampoo, or you can use Dove soap. Or baby shampoo. Dawn. Yep. If you're having a problem, especially with liquid foundation, if you have a problem with it coming all out to get clean, because this has so many hairs, if you don't work it, it is going to, and if you don't wash it regularly, then it's going, like, you're going to have a lot of stuff in there, okay? So wash it more regularly than you're used to. If you're still getting brown color as you're washing it, you need to keep washing it, okay? Personally, the spray cleanser, the brush cleaner, is when you're doing it more often or they're smaller brushes. If you're using a foundation brush and you've waited more than 2 days, the brush cleaner ain't gonna cut it. It's just not. So shampoo, Dawn, all those things are going to wash it. Shampoo, it's going to get deeper and it's going to pull more stuff out than just the brush cleaner. Because you can't,
hair, right?
Yes, yeah. Well, some of it, the foundation brushes are synthetic, but the other ones are real hair. So either way. Yes. Okay, so Jen just asked a really good question about the new 3D foundations. How many of you ever used them and have noticed that they feel thinner or they look thinner? Okay, are you worried if you want more full coverage? Are some of you like, uh-oh? Okay, once you try it, you're gonna be like, oh. But the reason why it's thinner is it has silica in it.
Okay.
That is why it gives you a more satin finish, and that is why it's going to just be super smooth and look fabulous. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's not going to not cover more. It works beautifully. Just know that that's part of the reason why it looks and feels thinner.
Can you clarify cool, warm, and neutral?
Oh, have you guys not had training on that?
Yeah, but I keep forgetting it, get them mixed up.
Okay, so cool is pink undertone.
So if you burn in the sun, no tan.
Yes, if you burn in the sun and you have two colors and you go one color and you get redder and you go back to the same color, you're cool.
Got it.
Okay? Snow White. But guess what? Even ebony bronze skin tones, they have that where they will be, they could be dark skin and they will get a little reddish hue and they will go right back to their same color. They would still be a C. Okay? N means, hey, I can tan, but I do also burn sometimes. So if you burn and then it goes to a tan, or if you burn and then your skin deepens in color, you would be a neutral, which is also yellow undertone. Okay? Which is 80%, which is why we have more N's. Just so you know. Okay?
So the other question I have is, how come they're on the numbers, there's only some of them don't even have a neutral?
It's the depth level
not
of each
in order.
thing. They're not.
Just
Just go to the next one. But also, just know that because of the coloring system, if you're a C, you could be an N. You will never be a W.
No.
Okay. If you're a W and they say, "Oh, I never burn," and so you think you're going to be a W, because that's the answer to the W. If you only tan, you never burn, you're a W. Here in Utah, some people have problems answering this question, so you can only take it at face value and know that sometimes they don't know. Okay?
Sometimes
You find less than finances
too.
Sometimes they don't know. Okay, so if they tell you I only burn and the color you tried was C110 and the next color is the N120, right? You can try the N, okay? But just know if she only burns, she's never going to be a W, okay? There are some colors that can go both ways based off of the coloring. It's not as deep, which means it can match more people.
So then N's can be more.
So N's, you could end up being a W, you could be a C, depending on how it looks best on you. But if you're stripe testing, and this is where you start, is if you ask that question to them, and so you say, okay, I think she's gonna be a C because she only burns, try 2 C colors and try 1 N. Okay,
and then
if she answers the question and you think she's an N, try 2 N's and try 1 W or C based off of you knowing colors and looking at their skin.
So what if they say, oh, I'm this, but I am darker now, so they want another foundation. They're not even sure what that color is. You just go up 1 color. At least that's what Kim told me.
You go up 1 color, usually of the same N, C, N, W. Okay, so it's not going to be the next number necessarily.
Yeah.
It will be usually in that same line, C, N, W. It will be the next one in that line, usually. But sometimes if they were an N and they tanned, they might be a W in the summer. Okay?
Okay.
So just based off of their pigmentation and all that stuff. Okay? One thing, after we did concealer on your eyes, okay, one thing you need to do is you need to do powder on your eye. You need to set underneath your eye and on top of your eyelid so that it doesn't crease. Okay? So translucent powder, a light color eyeshadow, mineral powder, whatever. So if you want, you don't do like a shimmer. We're not coloring it. We're not doing, you want a matte. If you're doing an eyeshadow, it needs to be a matte eyeshadow. You will never, ever, ever, or I sure hope you never, ever, ever do shimmer from your eyebrow to your lid.
Oh, come on.
Ever.
It's so fun.
Don't do it.
Don't shimmer your head.
In Utah, we have problems with over highlighting. We totally do. And you just look like you have a walking brow coming at you because you like light or pink shimmered all over your eyebrow. Trust me, It does not look as good as you think.
Really? That's a lot.
Yes, just saying. Especially if you have a hooded eye. No.
No.
That's all they see.
Oh, yeah. Boom! You've got big puffy eyes. Just shimmer it up.
Dark
girl.
line
Just
right
shimmer it up.
Glider up here. You can't see my lid anyway, so I'm making a new one.
You're giving it something to blend with, okay? Have you ever done your eyeshadow and you like put eyeshadow on and it won't go in one certain area?
Yes.
And then you keep going over it and then it looks like a hot mess because you like just kept.
Because you are.
Because it's gonna change. Because it's gonna change. The more I do it, it's gonna catch at some point. So the way that you choose colors for eyeshadow, do you guys want to know the best way to pop your eyes?
Yeah.
Okay. Who are my blue-eyed girls? Whoa.
Yeah, baby.
Okay. You guys really know your colors. I'm not talking about green. I'm talking about blue. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. If you have blue eyes, I'm sad to say you have the least amount of colors to choose from. Very true. Blue eyes. You can wear bronzes,
Yes.
browns,
Love it.
Yes.
golds.
Yes.
See, I have a hard time with gold.
Well, I'm not talking about like orange gold or like,
Shiny penny.
yes. If you're white, shiny penny is not your color unless you're doing it over a different color, and I'll talk about that. You can use it as a layering eyeshadow, but you cannot use it as your mid-tone or your accent. Okay? All right. So,
Yes.
okay, so blue eyes, browns, coppers, golds. You go opposite of the color wheel. It is not like your blue shirt is going to make your blue eyes pop, right? Because it's farther away from your face. But if you have blue and you have blue eyes, you're competing with your blue eyes. So it's going to diminish the blue. Okay? So I'm not saying you can never ever use blue. Okay? But for everyday basis, if you want your eye color to pop and stand out, those are the colors you're going to want to wear. Okay? Browns, browns, coppers, golds. Okay? It highlights, you can use like whites and stuff like that or skin tones, but like for accent colors, like that's what you get. Okay, if you have green eyes, who's got green eyes?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Hazel.
Hazel. If you're hazel, you can choose blue or green. Whatever you want to pull out of your eye any given day. Okay? So you can still wear browns, coppers, golds. Yay. And you can wear purples, plums, raspberries. Okay?
Everything.
Browns, coppers, golds, purples. Okay? Opposite of the color wheel is what we're doing. If you looked at a color wheel and eyeshadow that you would wear, okay, that's what you would be wearing, okay? Okay, if you have brown eyes,
I'll just wear green sometimes.
have a party, have a big old party, you can wear whatever you want.
Go crazy.
Now, the reason for that, play it up. Okay, so the reason why brown eyes can wear whatever color they want is because there's nothing opposite of brown. There's nothing that's going to make your brown eyes pop. So technically, you can be happy that you can pop your eyes if you have blue or green eyes. Brown eyes, it's just you can wear whatever color because they're just brown. They're just brown and they're going to stay brown. So wear whatever color you want. Okay? So if you're wearing, you can wear blue if you're wearing blue. You can wear green if you have green eyes, but just know you're not going to pop your eye color if you do so. Okay? So on your everyday basis, those are the colors you're going to want to choose. Make sense? Okay. All right. We're going to choose a matte mid-tone brown to shape your eye. Okay? This color is going to be hazelnut. Except for these two. Hazelnut for all of you white and beige skin. For bronze and ebony, They are going to choose a different color. Okay? They get to choose Cinnabar. Okay? You can choose Cinnabar. You can choose, depending on how dark you are, you could use espresso. You can use hot fudge. Will be a little bit too dark. So, but honestly, Cinnabar would be my go-to color to do as a mid-tone color for you. Okay? This is not an accent color. This is a mid-tone color.
So it's going on your.
Okay, I'm going to show you. Everyone's eye shape is different, and if you go to Robert Jones's workshop, who I've been trained by, you would know that it's like an all day to try to like teach everyone their own eye shape, and we would be here all day. So I cannot do that. Look in the mirror. If you have your lid that comes over your eye, you have a hooded eye. Okay? Mid-tone matte browns are going to be your best friend. You could just do that one color and it will make a world of difference. Okay? Come here. Me? Yes. But you get to have a special big corner, right? Are you happy with that? Yes. You're going to choose your matte color. You are going to. This is the one that most people will skip, but it will give you the most bang for your buck on like shaping of your eye. This one.
Oh, the smudger? The
smudger one.
The smudger.
You could use the all over one, but you have to be more wary of where you're applying it. Okay? So if you have bigger eyes and you have more space in between your lid to your brow, then you can use that one. If not, it's the eye smudger one. Okay? So going diagonal from your nose to the corner of your eye, this is called your anti-aging line. Okay? You do not want to bring any color below that line, or it will make your eyes look droopy and tired. Who wants that? No one. Okay? So you are going to take, are you right-handed or left-handed? Right-handed. Okay, so I'm going to do this side. Okay, then they can see anyway. So you're going to use a diagonal, and you're going to do this diagonal move. If you can feel your brow bone, okay, it's just like underneath that area, okay? Now she doesn't have as much space in between her lid to her brow, so she won't have as much space, but you're going to push. You're going to give the illusion. Anything that you deepen, you're giving the illusion of it being pushed back, okay? So that's why you don't want shimmer in these areas. Because basically the darkness is going to push it back and look recessed, right? But if you put shimmer, then that brings it out. Which is why shimmer bronzers don't make sense. Okay? Okay, so down along this line into your crease. You're pushing that skin back.
And this is for all eye shapes?
This is for, you're still gonna do inside your crease. If you have like a normal eye, you're gonna go into your crease right here and just on top of your brow bone right here.
So
Okay?
you're still gonna have some brow bone between that and your eyebrow.
Depending
showing.
on, see how she has, she
Right.
really doesn't have much
Right.
space. So she's not gonna highlight underneath her brow because she really doesn't have anything.
Right.
We're gonna be doing matte,
Yeah.
basically up to her eyebrow, if
Okay.
that makes sense. So if you go diagonal, and I'll even, with this one color, how less puffy her eye looks. Look. Can you see the difference between this eye and this eye? You're giving the illusion of it being pushed back. So you're not bringing, you don't want to show any of that puffiness and highlight it and bring it forward. Because anything you highlight, you bring forward. Anything you darken, you're going to push back. Now when I say darker than your skin tone, okay? So darker than your skin tone, lighter than your skin tone. Our bronzer would be different than, it could be your highlighter. Okay? So just know it varies based off of your skin tone. But just know anything darker than your skin is going to be pushing it back. Anything that you lighten will be bringing it forward. So things that you want to bring out, you highlight. Does that make sense? So you do have a little bit of hooded eyes. So the way that you figure out your eyes is if you can fit one eyeball in between your eyes, you have standard eyes, if they like fit perfectly, right? If your eyeball does not fit in between your eyes, then you have close set eyes. If you have extra space, you have wide set eyes. And then if you have prominent eyes, that basically means that your eyes are forward. I have a little bit of prominent eye, you have prominent eyes, where your skin is kind of flush with your eyeball. It doesn't go into your head as much, right?
Right.
If you have hooded eyes, it's when your lid goes up and over your eyelid, okay? And we usually get that with age no matter what, okay? But sometimes people are born with it. Sometimes it's Maybelline, no. And if you have a brow bone where your eyeball is even pushed even farther in, you have deep set eyes, okay? So, yeah, turn just so people can see. So she has deep set eyes where her eyes are going farther into her head, basically, and her brow bone is more like pronounced. Does that make sense? She does have a little bit of a hooded eye as well, but because how deep it is into her skull, face, whatever you want to say, then she has deep set eyes. Does that make sense? So if you have deep set eyes, you don't want to like deepen more, like in, like far in. You don't want to like make it look like it's even farther, which is why you usually don't highlight your brow bone. Because your brow bone is already highlighted naturally because it's out farther, right? So, does that make sense? A lot of people do not go up high enough. They're scared of that matte mid-tone brown. They're scared of it, so they don't go up high enough. I promise it makes a world of difference on how you apply it. Go up higher than maybe you would think normally, okay? You want to go diagonal here, okay? You start up above your, like on top of your brow bone on that anti-aging line. That's usually where you start. You're going to go into your crease and diagonal line underneath that, or to the side of that. Does that make sense? Yes.
I know also on the back of the placemat for makeup, especially when people have they call them, the single eyelids, it recommends bringing the darker color out and around to create a bigger eye look. So how do you know exactly when to?
A single eye?
Like typically more like Asian style eyes.
Like instead of
They don't have rays.
I don't ever go outside of this line ever. So, with a hooded eye, which is Asian eyes that don't have a hood, you're going to be deepening that mid-tone brown. So you're going to go over that, but then you go over it with your accent color as well to basically give it shadow to make it look like you have a crease. Not necessarily outside of that line, like you're not going to drag it out. You're just deepening that crease to make it, give it the illusion of you having a crease. Does that make sense?
I just also when you have close set eyes, you're supposed to make them look wider, and part of doing that is bringing up the
Just like a window wiper.
Close set eyes, you don't bring the color out more, you just don't bring it in more. Okay? So you still want to stay within that line. You can, like for close set eyes, you can do a winged eye and do your eyeliner out, but for your eyeshadow, you don't want to bring it out like super far because it will make your eyes look droopy.
So what if you're trying to do the runway look where you bring a little bit of color down into the lower third of the lash line? Then what do you do?
You still can do that by staying here.
Okay.
You just bring the color, you're smudging it in your lash line here, and then the dark color is right that line. Like it's not outside. It doesn't.
Because I thought that's how kind of it was on the cover of the spring. Is that it was more brought out, it was rounded.
When you're blending it, you might look like it is, but when you're placing it, it's not going to be outside that line. So a lot of people think, oh, okay, so then you're gonna, and then it looks not good, okay? So think of it just staying in that area, and you're naturally, as you blend, will kind of bring it out, but you're not trying to bring it out. Does that make sense? So for wide set eyes, you would bring your dark color in even farther with your accent. When I show you the accent color, with close set eyes, you basically just do the dark color on the very edge, like that diagonal line. You're not going to bring it in very far at all. And you over highlight here and into your eyelid to give that pushed out. You don't necessarily bring that color out way too far from your eyes. It will look unnatural. My personal makeup opinion. I'm not saying you can't, and I'm not saying that some makeup artists won't. Like they will do different things, but like on an everyday basis, you would not want to do that for anyone or teach your customers to do that because it won't look. And when they try to do it, it will.
You still use your little.
Yes, you can do that. So I taught a trick that if you want to make sure you're staying within that line, you can grab a piece of paper or a recipe card, or I use the foundation primer a lot if you want to get a really defined look, and you can just use this, and that is your line, and it won't go outside of that. So I used to have like a card, and then I'd always lose it, and so then I found that this is stiff enough that you can use it as your lines. Okay, mid-tone. You good? Okay. Highlight. So the reason some people will teach doing highlight first, then mid-tone, then accent. If you're curious why I did it that way, I find that most people will muddy up their highlight color when they're doing their mid-tone, and so then it doesn't pop as much. So I like my highlight to pop as much as possible. So I usually do it either second or third. Okay? So if you want to do your accent color now, go ahead and grab a color. You can still do a matte color, or you can choose a highlight. I love Gold Status. I love Crystalline. I love, now I can't think of the name. The one that replaced Honey Spice. No.
Which one?
Oh yeah, Candlelight. I thought we were just saying Candlelight was matte.
No, Candlelight is not matte. And
Sandstone was the one that you said. I was like, I thought we just said, I was so confused. That's the reason why I thought it was shimmer.
Below the brown.
So highlight color goes on the center of your lid. If you're looking and you were feeling your eyelid, it's what's on top of your eye. Okay? So you go on the inner corner of your eye here, and just here, you don't go outside of where your crease is to your lid. So if you can't feel your eye, you should not be putting highlight there. Okay? Okay, the other thing is if you guys really want to pop your highlight color, instead of brushing it on, you're going to tap it on. You will get a more vibrant color. Also, if you want a more vibrant pop for special occasions or every day because you like drama, do Beach Blonde cream color before you do your eyeshadow because it will pop the color. Okay, so I'm going to tap this color on her lid. And then you can still blend, but I'm just saying to kind of keep the color, staying where you want it. If you have a really hooded eye, you can do a smoky eye, but like a smoky eye for the day. And personally for like Michelle, that's probably what I would choose to put on her because she does have quite a bit of hooding. So basically a smoky eye is you're going the darkest from your lashes up to your eyebrow. So you don't put highlighter on your eyelid. So you can do that as an everyday. That's like the black. People think smoky eye, black. You don't have to do black. You can do chocolate, smoky eye. You can do, I love, one of my new favorite colors is the Merlot. Yes. I love that color. So
I can't wear that. I have blue eyes.
Well, I'm just saying it is more of a deeper, that you can mix it with burnished bronze and then it will pull the blue out of your eyes. So do burnished bronze and a little bit of Merlot to deepen that corner of your eye. I do that a lot. You can do like a shimmer bronze, but you don't do highlight on that on your lid. You would go mid-tone all the way from lid all the way to your crease, and then you would deepen it and do like Cinnabar over it and just do right on top of your lid is Cinnabar. And then if you wanted to do even deeper, then you would just do it your base lash and mix like espresso or coal or whatever. Not coal. It's the new name. The black. Onyx. Black. The black. Then you would smudge that into your eyelid, and so you're gradually making it darkest to lightest. Does that make sense? So accent color, this would be the color that you would want to pop if you are doing an everyday look. So I love rustic and burnished bronze. If you're going to do blue eyes, green eye, any colored eyes, you can use that. And that's a great everyday color. You could sell that all day long. Candlelight, hazelnut, burnished bronze, all day long to anyone. Anyone can use that. Besides you guys. Anyone ivory based can tell.
All the fun colors.
Yes, you can use them, just not in the same way. That.
And we're putting this where?
So you're gonna do a sideways V diagonal, or a 7, or a. I personally, you might see some recommendations to do a C. I find that if I teach that to people, they go way outside of their line, and then it brings it down and it looks droopy. Okay, so the easiest way for me to teach is use that angled brush. What is it called? The eye crease brush. Okay, you're gonna go right here on that diagonal. Right, you're gonna hold that line, and you're going to pull inward. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So here, Alexis, what color do you want to do?
I have rustic.
Okay, right now. So you're going to that diagonal V, right? You're going to pull it like this, that diagonal line, and you're going to place it and like pull it in. Does that make sense? You can also make the line and blend it in a little bit. Okay, so the sideways V, I'll do that so you can, I'll over dramatize it just so you can see where you're placing. Diagonal V, and then into your crease. So you did the mid-tone there, you're now deepening that color. Okay, people are, but I already put the other, yes, that's the point. Okay, so and you're going to go, if you have a normal sized eye, not close set or wide set, not normal size, but like not close set or wide standard eye. So you're gonna go about halfway to 2/3 of the way in as you're not gonna bring it in all the way into here. Does that make sense? Okay, so then you pull that color in, so you're gonna make it like more of a wedge shape. So when you blend, it's gonna look like this, right? Can you all see where you can walk down, close your eyes? Well, walk and then close and then walk. Okay. Okay, so you're doing like a sideways V. When you blend, so this is not blended. If you were to go like this and kind of pull in, it would look more blended just naturally already. But you're gonna do this, and you're going to blend up and into your eye, down and into your eye. So instead of the V, it's going to then look like a wedge that like looks darkest here, this corner, that fades into lightest into the inner corner of your eye. Does that make sense? Okay. So you want to use a big, fluffy, clean brush. That's why I feel like you all need to have at least 2 brush sets, because you can't do.
I have at least.
I'm going to use, because she doesn't have one, I'm just going to fluff this out, okay? So the all over crease brush, that would be a good blending brush. So this is like every day, right? Okay, so go walk. Does that not look like every day? Is that what you're saying?
No, I said it looks really good. That looks really good. And he said, go walk.
Okay, so then this is one of my favorites. So I would use burnished bronze and Merlot, but this will just deepen a little bit. It's not black, because some people, black is just going to be too harsh. But if you pull the teeny bit of that Merlot right on that corner, so just right on that like diagonal line, you're just pulling that just a little bit darker color. Whether it's Merlot, whether it's hot fudge. I use hot fudge all the time. Espresso. You can use a little bit of black if you want to go like more of an evening look. Those are the colors that I would do. If you're gonna do eyeliner, I didn't tell you this before we were doing the accent color, but if you want your eyeliner to look a little bit more blended and to not be such a stark line, you can do your eyeliner before your accent color and you blend and smudge that color in when you're doing your accent color. If you want it to be a stark line, then you would do it after. And if you forgot but you still want it blended, then just go over it.
What do you use for eyeliner?
You can use any shadow that we use as an eyeliner. I think today I didn't use any regular liner. I think it's just powder. So, but deep brown, the black. I mean, once you hit, well, I shouldn't say that. Depending on how much creasing you have in your eyes, you don't want to go stark black. You would want to do deep brown once you reach a certain age that you feel is acceptable, that you don't want to use black to accentuate fine lines and wrinkles. And that is your choice. Okay. But deep brown, it almost looks black when you're wearing it. It just is a little bit softer. It's just not so stark on your eyes. But I use Hot Fudge as an eyeliner all the time. We have an eyeliner brush or the smudger brush. Okay, if you line your bottom, you have to line your top. If not, the color drags your eye down and it makes you look old, dead, and tired.
And if you're going for that look, go ahead.
Go for it.
Okay, if you do your bottom lash, it used to be in to say, it makes your eyes look more open if you only go halfway. No, it looks like you forgot to go the rest of the way. Okay? So, you go all the way in. Okay? You don't go all the way into like here crease. Go to where your lashes stop. And that doesn't mean you have to go as dark as you are on the outer edge, okay? You can do lighter here. Like basically get a little bit of color on your eyeliner brush, get it on the edge and do your very edges first and don't add any more color and just kind of smudge it in. So there's a little bit of color and definition, but not stark line all the way across. Does that make sense? But you need to, come on. Are you saying you really think? It just looks like you forgot to go the rest of the way. I promise you. And if you feel like it's too dark, use the color you're using, tap a little bit of hazelnut, okay? And use that to go the inner part. The other thing you can do is line with hazelnut first, then take your accent color and then go 2/3 and smudge it in, okay? Because then there's color on that last part. Not like it's totally empty. But you do not have to line your eyes. It is not like a mandatory you have to do. But if you line your bottom, go all the way across. And if you line your bottom, you have to line your top. You just got it. So saith Angela and Robert Jones. Okay, if you do not have to have like super thick line, right? And just so you know, you do not line this water line. So the watermark it will end up wiping off and you won't have a line a good portion of the day usually anyway, depending on what formula you use for your eyeliner. But the other part is just that you need that lightness of the fleshy skin to make your eyes look more open and bigger, okay? So just know that.
What if, especially you're teaching older women who are straightening some of their ways and
you can only say what you're going to say. I still will say it and people will still do it. I'm sure there are people who are still doing it right now. It's fine. You might think it, but you would be wrong. And I'll say that too. But
I was pointed out.
and a lot of times then it will make your eyes, like as you're touching, then it will make blackness like on the top darker than you like actually need or want. Anyway, there's a lot of reasons. You also are more likely to get styes and infections in your eyes when you do that. So there's like lots of reasons why you don't do it. If you want to do fake lashes, you need to line with the stark black line on your lid first, let it dry, color the band of the lashes, then you apply it. Then you won't have skin colored on top of your eye, making it look like you are wearing fake lashes. It will make them look more natural when you're doing fake lashes.
The other thing I do when I'm doing fake lashes is I make sure that I put mascara on also, but I also do the little hairs on the inside of where the lash.
Oh yeah, you
lash
absolutely
doesn't.
You always
You
do
don't
one
want
coat of
to do
mascara
that.
before you do that.
Yeah,
and
but
then you do
afterwards.
line, and then you do your lashes, and then you do another coat to combine your lashes with the fake lashes.
Yeah, and make sure you get those little baby ones because it looks like your lashes start.
There's a lot of steps. Just saying. You don't have to, if you're not going to ever do that, you don't have to do it. It's all good. Okay, so mascara, accent, Okay, so now mascara, okay? If you want your lashes to look thicker, if you want to do primer, you totally can do that. The one thing I love about primer, it's like hairspray for your lashes. So if you have problems with your lashes drooping after you curl them and putting mascara on, you can do primer, let it sit and dry, and you can curl your lashes with the primer on. Mary Kay does not necessarily say this, but I have learned it is not sticky like mascara once it's dry. So once you let it dry, you can curl and crimp it again, and then it will stay better longer. Also, if you want to keep your eyelashes curled longer throughout the day, use waterproof mascara. It will stay longer, yes. It will stay curled. Also, if you're curling your lashes, you don't just crimp it once, you crimp it at least 3 times. You're gonna walk it out. Okay, so you crimp curl it, you go to the very base of your lash, you crimp it, hold it for a couple of seconds, let it go, move it out a little bit, crimp down again, let it go, move it out again.
Let it go.
Yes, okay, so then it will look more curled naturally and you won't just have a
But never like clamp on it.
Yes, you're just starting base, crimp down, let go, move. You're not like, yeah, holding, you're not, and don't ever, oh my gosh, I've heard so many people say they do this, heat up your eyelash curler with hot water, with your iron, with, I don't care, whatever. Do not do that. You will burn your lids. It is not good. It is, anyway. If you have problems with your mascara, like your mascara making your eyelashes.
It just sounds like torture.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, ow. No, thanks to my. There is a heated eyelash curler that you can use after mascara. Robert Jones has a fabulous one, and it is meant to be used with heat. It falls into the little grooves, and you like wiggle it and you push it up. It works great. Some people have issues with it, and they just would rather do the crimp. Do the crimp, but do not curl it after mascara. That's when your lashes will be pulled out. Wiggle it from side to side to make them look thicker and more separated. Pull it lengthwise like this if you want them to look longer, because the particles will attach to the tips of your lashes and it will make them look longer. If you want both, and we all deserve both, do more than one coat. Do the thickening side to side, let it dry, then do other stuff with your makeup, then come back through and do the lengthening one. Okay?
You do that with primer? Or
No,
just mascara?
Just mascara.
Okay.
Yeah. Primer just gives it something to like hold to. It stays better. It also helps keep it separated so they don't clump as easy. Helps condition it. Like there's a lot of reasons for primer. It's not going to make it like the more coats of lash primer. You're better off to just coat it with regular mascara because it's black. Because that's the color you're going to want anyway. Which is why I've never understood the ones that do white and then black. I don't understand. But to each their
more
own.
layers on to cover the white.
So it forces them to do more, which is why it looks thicker. Woo! I don't know. Mascara on your bottom lashes, you do not have to do, but if you do, the way that I teach, because I inevitably will get a black mole on my nose almost every time. If I go side to side like this, I have learned better, and so I can do it now without but at the beginning, it's just so difficult. So the best way to do it is hold it lengthwise like this and just brush it on the bottom like this. It coats it. You don't have to have it crazy long. They're your bottom lashes. You just want them to look a little bit more defined, have a little bit of color, and so I always do just brushing it side to side. Because they're just long enough that when you're holding it like this, then the whole line of mascara is still colored, right? So wherever it hits, it's going to get black. So you don't need to try to, side to side, all of that. Some people, you get used to doing a certain thing, and if you can do the other way, it's not wrong to. I just say that if you're teaching someone to do it, or if you're having a hard time, then that's usually the easiest way to do it.
When do you do your brow? Your eyebrow?
I usually do it after eyeshadow. That's just my method to my madness, but some people have a really hard time doing full eyeshadow and then having their brows like not be there, because then it doesn't look even. I don't know if and if you're that type that then you end up adding way too much eyeshadow because you feel like it's uneven and it's really just because you need mascara and brows, do that. And then you can always add a little bit of eyeshadow if you feel like you need to deepen any area. Brows. The way you do brows is go have a professional shape them if you don't know how to do it. But basics are take along one of your brushes, a pen, pencil, whatever, and this is how you're going to do it. You go up the like you push on the side of your nose, right? Right here. That's where your eyebrow should start. Okay? So if it goes past that, you need to tweeze them. If they don't, you need to fill some.
You only have one, make it two.
Yeah.
I should have told my daughter
Have
that when she was
that.
in elementary.
Have
That is a
two
category.
brows. And they are not sisters, they're not twins, they're sisters. So don't try to make them exactly the same. The other thing is, if you're tweezing, don't ever tweeze one eyebrow all the way and then tweeze the other, because you're never going to get them to match. Do a couple here, and then a couple here, and a couple here, and a couple here, and then they'll look more even. Whereas if you make this one as perfect as you possibly can, guess what? This one is, you always have one ugly stepsister.
So I have a question about, because I'm missing hairs.
You feel it.
But it makes me nervous on how far, how to is it square,
Right here.
or is it?
Oh,
is it-
some people prefer one look over the other. The Mediterraneans will do a very, very dominant square. I tend to like a little bit square, but not as dominant as that. Some people like to kind of angle and point it, you know. I usually, when you're using the brow tint, who has brow tint and wants to do brows? Hey, with your brows, it should be the same color of your hair, one shade lighter, one shade darker. It should not be any more than that.
But
It felt good.
But I'm going to do her contest. I'm going to show her where they are kind of under different undertones. Okay, so I know Mary Kay teaches it differently. They say do the precision brow liner first, then do the tint. I think most people, you're going to end up using, I don't know if you've ever used the Definer precision liner where you have used up it way quicker because it's a sharper, pointier, so you end up using more. If you do the tint first, you won't do that, because then you're not filling in as much as you think that you want. So basically you're going to use the brow tint. See how, I'm going to show you where she should start. So she should start here. Do you see how she doesn't have hair there? Okay. Balding. That's okay. Most people need a little bit of extra hair. So you're going to pull up on the edge, and then you angle it on the top and angle it down, and make sure you get the bottom part. Now, if you don't have hair, it's not going to stick to your skin as easily as it will like your actual hair, okay? So that's where this pencil is going to come in. Do you see? It's not perfect, but just using the tint, how much more defined it is, okay? So then you're going to take, what color is this one? Dark blonde? And you use that one? Short, feathery strokes like hair. And I usually will pull here. You're going to line the top to make it look more defined and precise. That's the name of it, right? Then you're going to do bottom first, then top. But if you use the tint, you won't need to fill in the middle as much. But if you do it first, you're like, oh, but you'll end up kind of feeling like you need to fill in all these places where the tint will actually color it as good as you need. So, and then the last tip, if you feel like you need a little bit more or you need to blend it out a little bit more, then you're going to take your powder. You want to shape it so it goes back to the precision point, right? You don't want to have it look a little scraggly, because then the color is going to go outside of where you want it to actually be. So you're going to take your matte any color that you're using as your matte mid-tone brown, ivory beige, you're gonna use hazelnut, okay? You don't need to go any darker than that unless you have much darker hair. Like for her, she could use maybe, like if you have more redness to your skin, you could use like cinnabar. But honestly, I still even use hazelnut because I'm just blending the color that I already have. So you don't really, you're gonna go up and then sometimes I can do it talk and sometimes I end up stopping. Okay. So, can you see the difference between one eye to the other? How much more shaped it looks? It just looks more finished. It looks more classy, sophisticated, all that stuff. Most people need to finish their brows. It does not go out far enough. Okay? So, go ahead and you can do your stuff is already.
So where's the line? No. So mostly fake. And
you don't want a Sharpie look like rainbow arches, right? Okay, so that's why you do short feathery strokes to make them look like hairs, so you're not tended to be like sort of a thing. Also, okay, so I started but I didn't finish. You start your brows right here. You end your brows on that anti-aging line diagonal to the corner of your eye. That's where they should end. If you don't have enough brow to go there, you should be adding color. Okay? Then your arch should be diagonal if you're looking straight. Diagonal of where your iris is, that's where your arch should be. So you're going thicker here and gradually getting a little bit thinner to here and then gradually getting from thinner to here to there. Does that make sense? Everyone's arch is different. Everyone has a more, some people are like, but I really want a high arch like so-and-so. You can only do as much as what you got or it will look fake. Okay, so you have to work within your own assets. What God gave you. Okay, I have a question. I have had a lot of people say, well, what brow color do I use when I have gray hair? They don't make a gray. You don't want gray. You look dead. Use blonde. Classic blonde is the best color for gray hair. Okay? Now, if you choose your hair color to be a different color than what your brows are, then you do it based off that. Not based off of what God gave you. Okay, best color to contour with is latte. Okay? It is not shimmer. But if you have a problem with latte, what I used before when we had a highlight or shimmer bronzer, was the sheer mineral pressed powder. You can use the sheer mineral pressed powder and use beige 2, bronze 1, bronze 2 as a contour color. Yep. Okay? So if these colors are not quite right and you feel like you need darker than latte but not as dark as cocoa, use bronze 1. Use bronze 2. It is great. It will look fabulous. Okay? You can use any color. I always end up pinching them together so I get more defined, but this cheap color you can totally use. Or you can use our mineral powder one. Okay? Here. If you make a fishy face, you can feel or see your cheekbone right here. You're going on top of your cheekbone, just underneath that. On top, but it's also going to go just underneath that, okay? Okay? So you're going to take it, I do the angled side underneath, okay? Look this way. So, if you have more, this is where you can take 10 pounds off your face by contouring. Okay.
God, show me how.
So you're gonna start right here. You don't need, I'm gonna over dramatize. Know that this is not the color that it will end up looking like, but I'm gonna show you where you do it, okay? You go in, there, some people say, oh, 2 fingers, no. It's not necessarily like an amount of space, but just know that you're not gonna touch your lips, you're not gonna touch your nose. You want it to be like, just there. That's where you want it to be. Okay? Then you can go outside of this line. So if you have oval, round, heart, square, whatever, just know you can contour anything outside of this line. Okay? So here, she can contour all of this out here. Does that make sense? So the second that I'm going to contour, I'm going to do one side and make you look kind of funny, but to show you the difference. Okay? So you can use the foundation to do it. If you have a double chin, here. Define. I'm not saying you do. I'm just saying this is where you're going to go. If you felt like you want more defined jaw, this is where you go. Is you contour right here on the edge.
Right on the jaw. On the jaw.
Yes, right on the jaw. You're pushing this back. Pushing this back. Right here. Because a little bit of it is going to go on, a little bit's going to go underneath. But you're not going to come from underneath and do it here. Okay? Because that's already shadowed, anyway. Okay, so you come up here, like just a little bit circular. You're going to come down along here, blend it. And you all saw where I placed it, so now I'm going to go back through and blend it. Now this is where people will match the wrong foundation because they want to look darker. Don't do that. Choose the right color foundation and contour, okay?
Where's that?
Latte. Looks, feels, sounds fancy, right? Okay, so come here, define it. You also can contour the side of your nose. If you feel like your nose is too big or you just want, in pictures, this is one of the things that you can do. You don't want too much on the side of your nose or it will make it look dirty, okay? So practice before you use it in everyday life if you haven't ever done it. Okay, pinch it. You go right here. You're going to give it a little bit more definition and it will make your nose look a little bit slender. If you feel like the tip of your nose is too big, you can contour that, or if it dips below, you can contour that part right here.
So you're going not down where her nose meets her face, but up higher on her nose. Right?
Yeah, the idea is the brush is going to go kind of in the middle of where you're wanting it to go. Because a little bit is going to go on top of it, a little bit is going to go below it. So right here on the edge. She's like, does that make sense? Okay. Okay, I just want to show you the difference. Can you see her face where she looks thinner, more like her cheekbones look higher, right? So, went a little bit darker because she can handle that with her color. But then you bring cheek color and you're going to, this is yours, so I need to grab a, okay, we do what's called apple popping, okay? My favorite is Juicy Peach. Use Juicy Peach all day long, every day. I would use it on every single person if they'd let me because it makes you look healthy and vibrant without some people that have issues with pink. They don't want to do pink, so then they go like a mauvey pinky brown that just looks dirty and not good. Okay? So I would highly recommend, it does not, some people have issues with orange, and I was one of them, trust me. But I promise you, apple popping, once you contour like this, you're going to give a little bit of life back to her cheeks. You do right on the center. If you smile, it's that fat pad. And you just kind of swoosh it back. Okay, would you have guessed that is Juicy Peach?
I can know.
No. A lot of people think this is way too orange, too bright, too whatever. I promise you, it would look good on all of you. Okay? If you were this one. A lot of times I'll mix this and this for me. Just a lot of people can't do anyway. But you need to blend if you're going to use pop coral. And your ivory. Okay. There you go. Oh, you want me to do the other side? But I was going to have you do it so you can learn how to do it. You try, and then I'll tell you what. Yeah, or just come in oh, I would latte and then Juicy Peach. It is more red. Brunette is more red, so I would use dark blonde. That's the color I would use. Yeah, it doesn't look horrible. It just is a brunette has a red undertone, so I have a lot of people that either will use dark blonde or you use dark brunette. Brunette can have kind of a reddy orangey undertone for some people. So if it's more light brown like hers, I would do dark blonde. Okay?
I did the brunette. Notice it's too red.
Yes, it just has a little bit too red undertone. Now, if you have red in your, hair, it's gonna look great. It doesn't look bad. It just is a little bit off, and I probably would do dark blonde. Yeah.
But with your shirt, it
No,
actually.
That's what I was looking at.
That's true.
Okay, but
I'm wearing your shirt. I'm saying you have a little bit of the red in your shirt.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I don't, like I said, I don't think it looks bad, but for her,
Dark blonde is a better color.
for her, dark blonde would be better, and you can tell the way she responded to it. She was like, "I don't love this. It doesn't look like she doesn't. If it doesn't make you feel confident, there are things that I'm like, I would tell you not to wear brown lipstick, but I still will sell it to people because."
They know Robert hates it. He threw it away 3 times. I know.
It is, I promise, I used to be the one that wore the brown shimmery, brown liner and a shimmer lipstick.
Right.
I used to do all of that, but I promise if you start to use, like, it's hard to switch to pink, switch to coral, and you'll be able to transition better. I've done that to tons of people because people have issues with pink. So they're like, the only other color is brown because orange is,
So
I
is that
can't do
based
that.
on skin tone, blue eyes, what? Because I think Robert told me to go to the peach family.
Oh yeah, we are both, yes, coral, peach. So sunset peach, coral bliss, color me coral.
Yeah.
They would all look fabulous on you.
I love it dark colors.
So Sienna Brulee is what I heard you say. No, I hate my guts on this too. I know.
No, that's too brown.
I know.
Yeah, that is.
She can do cyan brulee. Oh, fine. But ivory beige, I promise,
We hate
coral colors will make you look younger and your teeth look whiter.
Okay, coral it is. Switching tomorrow.
Lips, basically, color within the lines. If you want your lipstick to stay on longer, fill in your lips with lip liner. If you want your lips to look fuller, use a lighter color, and you can put concealer like a geisha girl in the center of your lid and then do a lip gloss over it because the light will reflect from the center of your lip. If you just want natural, do a colored lip gloss. If you want a liner, it makes your lips look more defined. And as we age, we tend to lose the definition in our lips. And so, yes, if you want more defined lips, if you want your lipstick to stay on longer, or if you want your lips to look a little bit fuller, then you use liner. If you don't want any of those things, then don't use a liner. But yes, use a liner to help define your lips a little bit. So we don't have a perfect color for it. You just do a little bit lighter because once you put the lipstick on over it, it will blend and you can smudge it. You don't necessarily you don't want to go darker unless you're going to do the ombre effect, which most people can't do it right. It's not wrong to want gloss or not. It is just some people are in the mode of matte and so they don't do gloss. But I've always, a lot of times I will do gloss just because I'm used to that. I would
raise your head like this is it.
I love it with your
bold
Color.
Yeah. Gloss tends to make it look a little bit softer. Beach bronze will make it look a little bit more neutral. If you do Fancy Nancy, that's my all-time favorite. Fancy Nancy. If you want a little bit of color, but they're scared of like too pink, like that is the color. That is the color. If you want to soften a color that is too bright, use golden. If you want a nude look without shimmer, then use Sunblossom or Cafe Au Lait. Those are ones that don't have shimmer to it. If you're ivory beige skin tone, Robert will always say, do not wear purples or browns. The only time you have that color of lips is when you're in a coffin.
That's exactly what
You do not look, you look old, dead, and tired when you wear browns and purples. There are some people that they just like purples and just wear it. But you will look more lively, more youthful if you wear juicy peach versus, or like sunset peach on your lips, or like corals are just going to warm the skin a little bit. It will make you look more youthful. Purples kind of bring the color down for our skin tone. For her, not as much. That's why they can wear it. Okay, any other questions? We're basically done, but if you have any last dying questions, you guys were fun. Hopefully you learned a lot. And there's so much that you can do with colors. There's like literally, if you have questions about like your foundation lasting, you can look up what's called baking. You can try that. If you want to, if you have a powdery look that you feel like is too powdery after you do foundation and you use powder, make sure that you do the finishing spray. Oh, to make your eyeshadows pop more, if you don't want to use the cream color before you use eyeshadow, do you know you can use the finishing spray on your brush and then do it?
Yes, don't spray
Works
your
great.
thing. Just spray
Works.
your
Spray on your brush.
for the foundation for all color.
For like highlight color. You can do it for any color, but you don't need the base.
you add a little
Just like to pop the highlight to make it look more shimmery. Or if you really want it to be in like a color for eyeliner, you can use the finishing spray for that. So, yeah. Okay, go fight win. Have a fabulous week. And